In the midst of a devastating war between the Mandalorians and the Sith, I have uncovered a vast conspiracy that reaches into the highest echelons of the New Republic and the Jedi. A truth so terrible, it threatens to push the galaxy to the brink. My name is Darth Attrocitan, and along with a motley crew of rogues and renegades, who must put our differences aside, fighting for survival as fugitives in a hostile universe. With our enemies many and our allies few, we vow to expose the truth. For we have become more than just Sith, Jedi, or Mandalorian. For we are now the Defiant.
The Sith-Mandalorian War is now in its second year. It has been 5,512 years since the Battle of Yavin, and the galaxy has undergone several changes. War, cultural shifts and political strife have all had their ebbs and flows over the centuries, as one might expect. No one is even sure how the conflict between Mandalore and Korriban started, but things have not gone to plan for the Sith forces. Despite some initial victories in the last year, things have taken a devastating turn for the dark side wielders. Korriban is now in full tactical retreat and have taken up desperate defensive measures to stave off the encroaching Mandalorians. Despite all this, the New Republic and the Jedi Order have signed a pact of neutrality and refuse to support either side. But in the fog of war, one Sith Lord has started to ask questions that will take him into the darkest parts of conspiracy, intrigue, and betrayal. It is here where we begin our story, in the blood-red halls of the Imperial Palace on Korriban. Darth Attrocitan walked steadfastly and with a great sense of purpose. His sleek black boots echoed off the obsidian sheen floor as he took one graceful stride after the next. This was the great throne chamber within the Imperial Palace of Korriban, main home world of the current Sith Empire. Attrocitan continued his stride until he halted just a few feet in front of a large and rounded banister, which sat several other robed and hooded figures. Just beyond the banister was an imposing throne. Upon it, the brooding and intimidating visage of the one Sithari, ruler of the Sith Empire, Darth Magus himself. For a brief moment, all was silent, before the robed figures at the banister beneath the Emperor's throne all rose. In unison, they all removed their black hoods, revealing many differing faces of human and alien origins of varied species. But the one thing they all shared were their frightening eyes, the fire of crimson, yellow, and orange shining bright as the unmistakable trademark of the dark side of the Force that infested their very souls.
I am Darth Nefarian, head magistrate of this tribunal.
I humbly submit to your authority, Lord Nefarian.
You have been graciously granted an audience with the one Sithari, His Majesty, the great Darth Magus.
But of course, my Lord Magus, I wish to come before you and this esteemed tribunal with some telling and troubling findings in my numerous battle assessments of the past few months.
What say you, my Lord Magus?
Speak.
Very well. With the sanction of the one Sithari, this tribunal hereby recognizes one Darth Attrocitan, Sith Lord and Grand Inquisitor for this, the great Korribanian Empire of the Sith. Proceed to state your case, Lord Attrocitan.
As you are well aware, Your Majesty, this war with Mandalore has turned in a disastrous direction for the Empire, In the space of a single year, we've seen the tide of battle turn against the Sith, as these low-life mercenaries have exponentially increased their numbers, armaments, and tactical strategy at a seemingly impossible rate, outmatching the pace of the Sith at nearly every turn.
You bore me with this redundancy, Attrocitan. Get to the point.
In my interrogations and extractions, I have uncovered a possible hidden hand. You'll notice that the bodies of these fallen marauders bear the telltale sign of what can only be described as lightsaber strikes. You'll note that these Corellian battle cruisers just happen to appear out of nowhere, complementing the main Mandalorian armada, strengthening their positions within the Outer Rim. All this despite Mandalore not possessing a single Corellian vessel before this engagement. This was from our planetary theater within the Hoth system. In that ground battle, Mandalorian soldiers outnumbered our own Sith marauders nearly 10-1. Needless to say, we were soundly routed. But if you'll look close, in the foreground, beyond the main Mandalorian battalions, these legions don't look suspiciously like platoon droids to you? Well, if it doesn't, then I don't know what does. When have you ever known Mandalorians to use platoon droids of any kind? You must ask yourselves, my fellow Sith Lords, where are the Mandalorians getting all these vast extra resources and reinforcements that they clearly didn't have before this accursed war? The lightsaber strikes point to one and only one culprit. I believe this to be the work of the Jedi in tandem with that of the Republic.
Do you have proof of these assertions, Lord Attrocitan?
No, my lord, not as of yet, but
Not as of yet.
The sufficient proof is within my grasp, my Lord Magus. I assure you.
Let me ask you this then. Just who specifically besides the wider Jedi do you think is responsible for the Mandalorian upsurge in resources?
'Tis my belief that there is an inner sanctum to a shadow government of sorts, at the deepest levels of the Jedi Order. This is the footprint of the Council of First Knowledge.
Utter nonsense, Attrocitan. The Council of First Knowledge is nothing more than a mere myth. You know that.
I tell you by the name of the ancient Sith, they are no myth. My years of painstaking research points to this—
Silence! You dare to come before me with nothing more than theories and guesswork, and then expect me to take you seriously? The Korribanian Empire is embroiled in one of the most devastating wars of our age, and you dabble about in your ridiculous conspiracy theories. I will hear no more of it.
With all due respect, Lord Magus, if we do not act swiftly, as absurd as it sounds, the Mandalorians will be on the brink of annihilating the current Sith Empire.
At that moment, Darth Nefarian outstretches his hand and tries to get Attrocitan in a force choke. But sensing the other Sith Lord's intentions, the latter blocks his attack with his own force wave, effectively leaving the two in a deadlock.
You would dare to raise your voice against the one Sithari?
Attrocitan sneers in a sinister grin as he senses Nefarian's struggle. Extremely confident in his abilities within the Force, he doesn't doubt for a second that he could hold his own and even overpower the Sith Magistrate.
Make no mistake, Lord Magistrate. I wouldn't hesitate to rip your innards out of your throat and feed them back to you if I saw fit.
A few seconds later, the Grand Inquisitor breaks the stalemate and sends the Magistrate flying to the other side of the hall with an immense force push. This prompts the other Sith Magistrates to simultaneously activate their lightsabers, but are halted by Darth Magus as he raises his hand and slowly walks down off his throne.
You are indeed strong with the dark side, Grand Inquisitor. I will give you that. I also admire your defiance against this tribunal. But don't you ever forget where you are and to whom you speak.
An arrogant grin crosses the Sith Lord's lips.
1,000 apologies, my lord, but of course.
Get up, Nefarian. Your lack of focus and discipline in the midst of battle is an outright embarrassment to this tribunal.
Forgive me, my lord. However, that does not change the facts. Insubordinates like Attrocitan and his ilk bear no respect for our authority. They spit in the face of Sith tradition and chain of command.
I beg to differ, Lord Nefarian. 'Tis not the face of tradition I spit in, it's yours.
Enough! Though I do admire your fortitude, you still vastly overstep yourself, Grand Inquisitor. Leave us now, and do not dare trouble me again with these trivialities of yours. Am I perfectly clear?
As Attrocitan starts to make his way to the exit, he turns back towards Nefarian.
Oh, by the way, if you should care to finish our spat, Nefarian, you most certainly know where to find me.
This is met with an immense force wave that bursts from Emperor Magus, shattering several ceremonial vases and urns within the throne room.
I said enough, Attrocitan! My patience is running exceedingly thin with you, whelp. You are dismissed.
The Sith Inquisitor simply nods and walks out of the heavy gate.
He is dangerous, sire. Rabble-rousers like Attrocitan are a threat to the stability of the Empire. We cannot have him spreading such outlandish drivel. It's irresponsible as well as unproductive. 'Tis a serious detriment to the war effort, my lord.
Unfortunately, I agree with you. Men like Attrocitan are gifted with guts and spines, but sadly no common sense or brains to back them up. He should really learn to leave well enough alone. He has become, as you said, Nefarian, a dangerous liability.
What are you saying, my lord?
You are the Magistrate Supreme, Lord Nefarian. Deal with him. Just report back to me when the problem has been properly resolved.
As you say, great Sithari.